first edition of L. Frank Baum's John Doe and the Cherub. He's the guy that wrote the Oz series, and this was really important to my dad because his grandfather read it to him. I double-checked it is the first edition, 1906. It's kind of falling apart, but that's all right. I'm going to read what my dad wrote here.
Okay.
My name is Alma Vlasek. I live here in Lincoln now. I have two sisters, one in Seward, Sue Bolwith, and one currently in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and will soon be back here, Fran Thompson. Okay, my dad was Frank I. Vlasek, and my grandfather was Frank A. Vlasek. That was as a frame of reference. We're originally from Morse Bluff, the Morse Bluff area, in what was called the Bohemian Alps. My dad, I'm reading what my father wrote here on the inside the book, John Doe and the Cherub. My dad, Frank A. Vlasek, read this book to me at least a dozen times as a young boy, and after I could read, I read it at least a dozen times more. I loved to read, and books were not plentiful in Morse Bluff, Nebraska in the 20s and 30s. So, and of course, my dad, who idolized his father, read this to us girls when we were kids. Mm-hmm. And I know my nephew has been exposed to it at least once. So we're pretty proud of it. And it really kind of it really defines us in many ways. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you've never read it.
That's really cool.
So I took the liberty of printing out from the internet a little bit about the book, which was on Wikipedia, and I'll leave that with you guys if you want to add anything in from that.
Good, thank you so much.
I think this would be a really interesting book to analyze as far as reviewing it or and just without getting into it too much, the role of the cherub, and is the cherub a boy or a girl? Mm-hmm. That's a big question. So anyway, watercolor, which I had framed up, this was done by my grandfather in 1908. It's signed and dated, and I think it's really intriguing, at least it was to me and my family, that we had a bona fide artist because his work is good, that he did it for his own pleasure. He attended Luther College in Wahoo when it was up and going, and later that college merged into Midland Lutheran College. He went to, that's where he did a couple years of college, and he became a school teacher. At some point, I don't have the chronology exactly correct, but I'm close. He married my grandmother, who her parents had a farm along the Platte, so he became a farmer. And I think it's interesting that here a teacher and a farmer just did very exquisite watercolors for his own pleasure.